Yeah. Alrighty, David, we are rolling. So, never mind. Not yet.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, we can roll.
Do it again. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Johnny Reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Johnny on this side of the table, and I have another guest. She is back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the table is Jade.
Hello, hello.
If you've seen my podcast, guys, you know who she is. She was my 5th episode, one of the best ones I've done, especially we were talking about health and talking about the gut, talking about some of her holistic practices and what she teaches. And I wanted her to come back on, and she's back on.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome back. How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing really well.
Yeah.
Doing really well. So you just told me that you just came back from New York. How was that?
I did come back from New York. New York was good.
Yeah.
New York was full of people chasing their dreams. It felt like the city was buzzing with, people just like going after what they want.
Yeah.
Kind of gives a good energy to the city. So you walk through and you're just like, what do I want? And what do I want to chase?
Dude, you give me so much hope because because before the podcast even started, we were just talking about it. And my roommate came in and we were just talking about it, that we're going to New York also, and we're going tomorrow. So
That's cool.
That's what we were talking about. And I was like, oh man, this is just you saying that.
Yeah.
It's just giving me so much inspiration right now.
It's gonna give you an existential, good crisis of like who you are and what you want to do. And if like you could do anything, get paid for it, what would it be? Guarantee you you'll have that thought.
Oh, shit. Well, thank you for that thought, Jade.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Jade, I wanted you to come back on because you how about like a month ago, you came back from a trip that had to do with more of the teachings that you were doing.
Yeah.
And you went where?
So I went to San Diego, California,
Okay.
and I received a certification in holistic lifestyle coaching level 2.
Okay.
So it was a 5-day intensive program or course where we went into more depth about health and wellness and coaching and how to work with clients, and it was really neat. So
yeah,
I learned a lot.
when you told me about it, I was like, I definitely want you to come back on just to see what else is new. Like what from the last one, and if you can roughly remember, because it was a while back ago now.
Yeah.
What all is new that you've kind of discovered?
Yeah. I feel like with the first certification, there was so much foundational knowledge with just basic nutrition, the importance of eating good quality organic food, and then discovering what makes us feel alive, and then how to help the clients that we work with, foster that in their own lives.
Yeah.
And then this one went into more of an intensive understanding how to work with clients and give them a full body assessment. And that's when it comes to nutrition, movement, breathing, thinking, sleeping, and hydration. So that was there was a lot more to learn than I had already learned. So it was really neat. It was I would say something that I learned that I hadn't really gotten a full grasp on from the first certification was the importance of breathing. Most people breathe dysfunctionally, and the importance of breathing diaphragmatically. Right. And then that all, it's a holistic approach, so it all connects with like mind, body, soul, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. So a lot of people carry emotions in their upper back. And that, yeah.
I always didn't think that would be like a thing. Just when you feel that tension
for sure.
And is that what you mean? Like is that especially from that point of view, is just kind of like you feel like all that insane stress that you're feeling, like if it does put a physical toll on you.
Definitely. Yeah, and it can show up in the curvature of like the upper part of the spine.
Really?
Yeah, and especially negative emotions like shame.
So it's more like body language, or is it
body language, but also then
the posture.
And what happens is a more sedentary lifestyle. So people sitting in chairs and And then that like
Video games,
the TV, thinking, the negative thinking, and it all kind of compounds. And then all of a sudden you have negative breathing, and negative breathing can go back and affect everything. So working with clients to help them breathe properly, deeply, diaphragmatically, and having good posture. So it all kind of like interconnects.
Especially like if you just tell me it, just I needed to like straighten it up.
Yeah,
But
it's a good reminder.
Yeah, it's like a quick reminder right there. But from there, I just wanted to take a breather. Like,
have you ever done yoga?
Okay, so and what's so funny is that because I was looking up a bunch of these races I'm going to be doing like towards the year. A lot of them have to do with just 5Ks with obstacle courses. Okay, and that's just to keep myself active. But to implement in my workouts, especially, I wanted to do yoga. I think I've stretched a little bit on the, it was like, it was like fitness on the MMA side, like that, just the mixed martial arts and like doing, jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But I didn't do it for that long. And that was like, I think around the time when you came on the podcast. From there, I just kind of let it go. But I knew I wanted to get into yoga somehow. But it was always in the back burner. I just didn't think it was just because I would always just get my fitness done as soon as possible, just because of my daily work schedule. Yeah. So yeah.
I think you're on a good track. That's another thing that rung in my ears from the course was, if you are working out, whether it's anaerobic or aerobically, you're lifting weights or you're going for runs, like you're saying, doing these races, it's important to balance that with working in just as much.
And it's tough. Like I'm not saying like don't like nobody feel bad for me, because I love doing this. I love pushing my body. Yeah. And I think that is from like that mixed martial arts part that I implemented, just because there's so much your body can do. And yoga was one of those things that I knew, like in the back of my mind again, that I was like, it could definitely help you create mental strength, core strength, leg strength, everything strength, and like
a lot of stretching is involved. That's
huge. Yes. And oh my gosh, like I think me and the roommates, like the ones that you met back over there at the old location, they were the ones. One of them, he had a little disc of like, it was a professional wrestler. I forgot who it was, but he just implemented his wrestling sort of cues with yoga.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
we were doing it for a little bit, and it felt good. It felt really like loose and just being able to move. And I was like, this is a good thing to add. This is a very good thing to add. Clearly, it wasn't going to stay long, because we did this when we were all free, didn't have a work schedule yet, and all that stuff. But then that's the hard thing. Yeah.
But important, especially if you have like a busy schedule and you're always accessing your sympathetic, or you have high stress levels, it's important to dial it back. And with yoga, something like yoga or Tai Chi, you can, or just even going for like walks, you can be accessing that parasympathetic nervous system.
So is that what you mean? Is that what you're trying to get at from like the yoga side?
Yeah, definitely. It's slower movements, dynamic stretching, breath work. So it's deep breathing. And then a lot of times, the instructor will guide you to better posture. Right. So like navel in, and strengthening and lengthening the spine, and just tapping into that type of movement in a work in fashion, I think is super important, especially if you work out.
I think there's definitely things that yoga does that, I don't know if working out does, because I think it hits other key things that working out doesn't. Do you know, like, essentially how yoga would be better? Just for people that don't know.
Yeah. Better for working out, like muscles that may be a little dormant.
Yeah. So like, let's just say, I think there's specific, when you're either injured or you're trying to work on something, you're trying to, there's specific workouts you would like to do to help do that. Like if you need to straighten out your posture, there's definitely workouts that you can do to build your muscle, so you can kind of have that muscle around the spine that can help alleviate that stress. Yoga.
Yeah, I would say yoga embodies a lot of posture correction.
Okay.
And, that would also be based on the individual, but for sure. And from my understanding, there are different types of yoga, and they all kind of tap into that. There are ones that are a little more like maybe aerobic, and you're moving faster, and you're doing these stretches and movements and workouts. So,
Right.
or and anaerobic, you're working different muscle groups with yoga, but it just depends on the yoga class or course or instructor. But either way, most of my experiences with yoga, we end with some type of meditation, and that's like key clutch. So,
How important do you think? I know we talked about meditation, but having a time to do all this stuff in your day to day. Do you think it's very is it a rigorous thing that people should follow? And I mean, you're someone with a lot more knowledge in this sense than I do, because like meditation, do you feel like it goes into your realm of expertise?
More on a personal level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, in the course we covered the importance of like healthier thinking patterns,
Okay.
and how meditation has been proven to set you on that path, or at least help with that. But everybody has their way of tapping into that or coping with stress levels. But if you have a fast-paced lifestyle, guarantee you 5 minutes of meditation a day, 5 minutes, which isn't really a lot, is going to improve your overall mental health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between that and affirmations?
Scientifically, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
That's
I'm
a good
asking,
question.
yes, what do you think?
But personally, I guess what I think, or my opinion, I would say along the same lines as gratitude as well. Like gratitude, affirmations, meditation. Meditation is specifically trying to like quiet the mind.
Yes.
So maybe like you could do a 5-minute meditation and then affirmations and gratitude. And then
I know, and didn't mean to pause you there, but I know that they add affirmations to meditation.
Yeah.
Whether it be just videos
That's true.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that if there is a difference or not, but even like even meditations itself, how there's like different ones. Like, I don't think there's one that's proven to be better than the other. That's why I ask you, like, is there a difference in affirmations?
Yeah, they're both great, positive things.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I do. I've listened to those videos where you're quiet, but you're listening to the affirmations. Those are great.
So, and the knowledge when it comes to like eating and how we dove into a lot of the knowledge that you were saying about from the past one. The gut is a second brain, and the way that I see it, and the way that I don't think I brought it up, was that sometimes you have like that gut feeling that kind of tells you to do something, or to, and that's your intuition kind of telling you that you're right or you're wrong about, or something's off.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely think that you're right about that, about it being another way to tell you. And what does the food portion or the food part of that have to do with even the gut even telling you that? Because if you eat bad, I feel like I'm just kind of like, the gut feeling, is that going to affect like that gut feeling?
I'm not sure regarding the intuition aspect of it, but absolutely the important part of adequate nutrition and proper individualized nutrition is supporting like a healthy gut microbiome. I mean, you could kind of explain it like your army, your own army. There's going to be the bad army, the good army. I hate to make it so binary, but if you have healthy microbiota supporting you and gut flora, you're going to be able to have a stronger immune system and handle what comes at you, whether it's like parasites and fungus or illnesses. Like, when you're in New York and you're in the subway and you get hit with all sorts of airborne illnesses, if you're supporting a healthy microbiome by sleeping well, getting good good quality sleep, hydrating well, moving, and good quality nutrition, and you just have a better balance,
Right.
you're going to be able to handle when you come in contact with all those things.
Right.
And then as far as individualized, I feel like we touched on this a little bit in the last podcast, but individualized nutrition is so key to understanding and supporting your gut flora and your microbiome and how to eat for your own needs. You may need a higher, when it comes to macros, you may need a higher carb diet, and I may need a higher fat and protein diet, or vice versa.
Okay.
So everybody has their own metabolic typing that can, and understanding that more, and connecting with yourself more, you're able to see when things don't sit well with you, or when something's off balance, or if you eat something and you're listening to your body and those cues that it's giving you, whether through digestion or pains in your stomach or any type of skin or anything like on your body. If your body's sending you signals, it's trying to communicate to you.
Like, hey, focus on what it is.
Yeah, like hey, something might be off, or we can't handle, you're eating a lot of these preservatives, you're eating processed food, or we can't really handle dairy. I know you talked about that.
I did talk about that. Gosh, I hate it. But you're not wrong. Like your body will create an excess of something, or it's just losing something, or that's just an alarm, is what you're saying. And for like any viewers that are out there that are listening, it's just the body can handle so much, but the body can do so much that it can definitely give you like whatever it is, whatever, like hey, like my eyes flinching, like it could be something like subtle as that. It could be that you're stressed, or you're not sleeping well, your skin tone looks very pale or something like that. Like those little types of things. How you have a toothache, like hey, you need to stop eating all that sugar. It's like stuff like that your body's telling you need to focus on.
Yeah.
And I feel like how fast that this world is moving and everything like that. And this is the reason why I wanted to come back on the podcast, is because it's the beginning of the new year. I brought in like people talking about bringing in like new expertise on when it comes to, or just perspectives on people that work out a little bit more than they eat, like they eat whatever they want, whether it's because they're younger, they're older. Do you think there's an absolute key things of like balancing out through the day-to-day, because we can be talking to our viewers that are our age, that are a little bit on the, hey, everything's going really quick,
right?
That just the necessities and I think that's what people really just try to gravitate towards, is knowing like, hey, like no A, B, C, and D. I think you somewhat be good, but do you feel like you follow a guideline like that?
The only guideline I would say I follow regarding, like, for me personally,
yes,
if I feel like I'm living a healthy, balanced lifestyle, would be the 6 foundation principles.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what is that?
So this is I learned this in the course that I took, and it was really helpful.
That was a good note then, because that's
nice.
I was like, all right.
Air 5. So nutrition, movement, especially considering how sedentary we live, based compared to how non-sedentary our ancestors live.
Right.
So nutrition, movement, thinking, our thought processes, and cultivating gratitude versus negative thought processes.
Okay.
Breathing, the quality and depth of our breathing, and that expands to posture, like we talked about. Sleeping, having good sleep hygiene, and then hydration. Hydration is huge. So many people
made out of water.
Oh yeah, it's made out of water. And when you're not getting enough water, or good quality water, to keep up a healthy, balanced body, the 2 most important things that will take the water are your brain and your spine. And so other things suffer. Your joints will suffer. Your skin will suffer.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so like, I don't know if it's just age that slows it
You
down
feeling
also.
achy joints?
Yes. And like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm feeling it right now, but I'm just saying like, you know, when there's older people that would tend to kind of like say, you know, feeling it or, you know, and what if they're living a good, the 6 guidelines, like they won't feel it as much, but I think even with age, it's just like, you can't stop it, but you can alleviate it or kind of like, you know, give it a little bit more, but keep going.
Yeah, that could absolutely be the thing. I mean, you know, that could be there could be a multitude of reasons, but I mean, if somebody's, you know, been dehydrated for decades, think about that. Right. You're supposed to drink half your body weight in ounces. How many people actually do that? And that's at rest. That's with no coffee. That's with, you know, not moving, and people hopefully move a little more than not. And so, you know, add on decades of dehydration. When we get injuries, unless it's, you know, a direct hit or, you know, a compact or a car accident or something that's actively causing the injury or directly causing the injury, when we feel a soreness or a pain or, you know, something happens, a lot of times it's my understanding that didn't happen overnight. So it may not heal overnight. That's, you know, years and years of poor eating, poor moving, not sleeping, overly stressed. If you're overly stressed for an extended period of time, even if you're accomplishing these 6 foundation principles, it's going to be like a degraded accomplishing those 6 principles, because stress is the common denominator of unhealth. It's going to impose on your sleep. It's going to impose on, you won't be able to digest as well. So even if you are eating well, you're going to impose on that, the absorption of the nutrients that you're getting. I trailed off on a thought.
No. That's, and I think a lot of people definitely appreciate that, because I mean, it's just whether or not, like, it's a lot of information, but they can always rewind.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah. So that's always a good thing about this. But one thing especially I wanted to touch on is because, and maybe it will create a little bit more controversy, but who cares? I mean, I like
specific diets.
Well, yes. Okay, so like, you know, new fads, new diets come in, and I love talking to you about this, because it's like, I fully went on whenever we talked about it on the podcast, the last podcast, I ran a lot, didn't really focus on the eating side of it. Really, you need to focus on the eating side over everything. Because
when you were working out?
When I was, like, and that was like that first month. Gotcha. That was like, and then later on, that's whenever I started picking up, because intermittent fasting was the reasoning. It's just I still ate whatever. But when I started looking in a little bit more on all the other things I needed to kind of work on or improve on, it was the types of things you're eating and the types of things that you put in your body to give you the essential fatty acids, omega-3s, all these essential things that your body needs, you know? So, touch on that. What are some new things that you implement now on your your daily routines that you eat, just to see, you know, for somebody that's listening, maybe that could be useful?
Okay. Yeah, something that I would say everybody can benefit from, across the board of all the different types of diets, is fermented food. So, you know, going back to talking about like healthy microbiome and supporting a healthy microbiome and gut flora. You have you heard of the word probiotics?
Yes.
Okay. And prebiotics?
Prebiotics and probiotics. Yes. I've heard both.
So prebiotics feed probiotics, and probiotics are live bacteria.
Yes.
So going back to like the live bacteria on your side versus the bad bacteria, we're always going to be in contact with bad bacteria. We have so many of both constantly, and are in contact with it and have it within us. And if we are, probiotics help strengthen our good bacteria, and that goes back to the gut flora. And so fermented foods, good quality fermented foods, well-sourced and well-made, those are going to give you live probiotics. So you can take like a live probiotic supplement.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about the supplements and like that side of things? Just because I know a lot of people aren't going to cook up or like they'll take a multivitamin over anything. And that goes back to the pill thing that we were talking about, that people would rather take a pill to lose weight than to kind of like essentially take the time to actually eat it.
Right.
And so
and live the life.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I do eat I would think I would eat a good, healthy lifestyle in this point, but I also take supplements.
Right.
So, do you have a problem with supplements, or is there like essential balanced on like the types of foods you eat plus taking some multivitamins just in case? You know, because I feel like there's goods and there's pros and cons to both of them. Do you agree or no?
I would agree, definitely.
Okay, so
Ideally, you'd want to have if you're getting, so for example, if you are wanting to take vitamin B supplements, ideally you would want to eat food that is high in vitamin B, a B complex or a B12, and so the goal would be, of course, getting it in like in your food in a natural way. But you know, I also at the same time, sometimes there are circumstances where people need to take supplements or want to take supplements or feel like their body needs more than what they're able to get circumstantially. And if you do go the supplement route, you can be choosy about quality. And I think that if you're going to take supplements, consider the quality. So go for the brands that are ethical and maybe smaller, or you can trust, organic, very well sourced, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, okay, so you hit on B12. The reason I ask is because are you eating meat now, or are you not eating meat now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And
we talked about this a little bit in the coffee shop whenever I saw you, and I was like, okay, what's going on?
So I don't want to sound too like,
trust me.
You know what? I'm just gonna sound how I sound. So
there you go.
Basically, I eat however my body tells me.
You.
Yeah, and
I mean, you're listening to your body.
For sure, and that's the goal. And
yes.
The more you connect with yourself, the more you do that, and that goes like across the board with everything. Yeah, if you're in tune with yourself and listening to yourself emotionally, it's all going to carry over.
Yes.
Like you can, listen to yourself physically and mentally as well, and know what you need. So for me, I have a lot of thoughts about, for me, I don't think I would restrict for the rest of my life a specific food group.
Okay.
I can't say never, unless my body makes it clear to me. And that's because we all need different things and ebb and flow through life.
Right.
So I've heard a lot of people talk about how veganism, for example, a controversial or hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah, for sure. And keto. I've heard people rave about, or carnivore. Let's go like the antithesis.
That one's new and new to me. That for the new year. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but keep going.
Yeah. So, you hear about both diets and people will say like it healed, my autoimmune, or it healed my skin issues. A lot of people talk about veganism, healing like their diabetes, type 2 diabetes and whatnot. And I don't disbelieve those things. I think those things can be absolutely true and hold true for a while, but it's kind of like the same way that someone's dream can become their nightmare. I think that if you take something that provided you healing in a way, and then you run with it and say, then this is how I should eat for the rest of my life, and this is how everybody should eat. I think that's when the dogma of it overrides, listening to our body and our soul.
So, well, because you already have a pre-assumed thing of like how you see this certain food. For sure. Because it makes you feel good. It's definitely supposed to make everybody else feel good.
Right.
But that's not the case sometimes. And I mean that just because there's different diets.
Yeah.
And there's different reasons why people take those diets, or they follow a certain regimen. Yeah. And that's why that's so hard to really digest, because for anybody, because there's so many people like that will break down why veganism is the best way to go, why the carnivore diet is the best way to go, why the keto diet is the best, why intermittent fasting is 10 times better, or whatever. I just added 10 times better because I did it. But you're not wrong. Right. I don't think there's a. Just wanted to get the understanding of that one, because if, for say, you are a vegan, you need to take those B12, that vitamin B12.
Definitely. The tricky thing about supplements, though, I will chime in with this, is that if you're feeling if you're taking vitamin B and you're a vegan and you're feeling off balance, or something doesn't feel right, don't be afraid. Don't let the dog win. Don't be afraid to let that challenge you, especially if you've been a long-term vegan, because like I said, vegan for 1 or 2 years can be extremely healing.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5, but then what if by 5th year you for whatever reason you're not getting enough B12? And I say that because regarding supplements, the bioavailability is definitely not as high as B12 in its live form. And so for whatever reason you're not absorbing the way you used to, or you experience something called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which happens a lot with, from my understanding, it happens a lot with vegans because they're eating such a fibrous raw food diet, and they're not kind of counteracting that. And then you can go the other way and say with the carnivore diet, people can be healed from so many things by it because they're cutting out there's so many other reasons with with veganism and carnivore. You're cutting out processed food. You're eating high nutrient dense items, so you're eating like a lot of salads with the vegan diet. And carnivore, you're eating a lot of good quality grass-fed pasture-raised meat. And these are the goals with each. But then, like, let's just say the carnivore, 2 years down the road, you get an iron overload. That's the important thing, is connecting with yourself and not connecting with the cultural confines or the social aspect of it all, and making sure that you are listening to you. So
see, and that's why I'm definitely like, and it's like, that's why I'm not disbelieving that the carnivore diet can do good. I don't think, I'm a meat eater, so that's why it's like I'm sitting across someone that occasionally would eat meat or doesn't eat. But from there, what I ended up figuring out that was, I was wanting to try it, even if it's like a month trial, just to see the difference of how I would feel, or if it makes me feel, the difference, if it makes me feel better or not. But I would consider myself to be a healthy individual. So what I'm doing, I think right now, is essentially working, whether it is just, not a carnivore diet or not vegetarian, not veganism, but it's just I eat. I think I brought it like one time to you, like bison. Like that's one meat that I was like, oh man, this is really good. This is really good meat. I feel good. And it made me feel good. And I remember you brought it up to me on the coffee shop. I was like, ooh, like how was that? It makes me feel good. But like from there, it was just the trial of maybe I wanted to try this. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I could take this vitamin. I don't know. Maybe there's definitely things that everybody needs to look at just to inform yourself. And that doesn't matter if you need to take it or not, but it's just a way to tell yourself, oh, there's an option there. It just in case, I am lacking in some sort of aspect, maybe down the line or not. It's like, hey, I can look back at it. But that's always the beauty about it, especially with technology now, kind of like ramping up the processes of like what your body essentially really needs, whether it's like more iron, more to a microscopic level, and that's what's so good. I have a riveting idea. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. The riveting idea is that we should be able to make it through each day without coffee or without
we're avid coffee drinkers. It's so funny.
Without stimulants and feeling alive, connected to ourselves, to people around us, to the world, to the plants around us. This is like our potential. We should be able to, eat food without feeling bad or sluggish or drowsy. We should be able to eat it as fuel. So if you're going through your day and you're crashing by noon, crashing by the afternoon, you're feeling sluggish, food makes you brain foggy, those are clear signs that it's time to look inward at your lifestyle and see like what's off balance.
Agreed. I'm okay, because we have these things called siestas, which are afternoon naps. Per se, and
is this in your life or your family or
just being Hispanic? I guess and I think that's more in Mexico than anything, because here it's just so fast paced. Like what's 8 to 4, 9 to 5 jobs, those aren't. You can't have a siesta. You can't have like an hour long nap. No time. So so essentially the stimulants have to kind of play an effect, but that alone kind of made me understand. Like I would read articles. I don't know how it's like off they are, or even if they are, but being at a young age, I just kind of like, why do we need to take siestas? I'm not tired.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm tired after lunch, or
Yeah.
like, you know, like maybe it's just because they say like after like fifth period you're feeling like foggy because you just ate a lot of food, but maybe it's just the way that you like. I don't even remember if we talked
quality of food.
Yes, and the times of like when to eat them, because
Yeah.
I don't even know if we did talk about it. I, on the other hand, never was really hungry growing up in the mornings.
Okay. Yeah.
And it made like the daily routinely like Americanized way of eating was breakfast, lunch, dinner, 8, 12, 1, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever it was, snacks in between, whatever. There's people that will definitely defend why breakfast is the best and most important meal to take. And there's people that don't. They say that, you know, like whether it was because of the way that I implemented intermittent fasting, my eating window was not in par with what the best meal of the day was breakfast. And I would essentially make the way that they explained it was breakfast. They broke the word, and you're breaking your fast, break fast.
That's
and
cool.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I just followed it, but whether it was tea or coffee or just going dry, I never saw the necessity to eat early in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, do you feel good?
Well, essentially, when I can't even think back, but I remember just the daily lifestyle because of school or work or whatever it was. I always ate breakfast. And then when I didn't eat breakfast, I was fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I say that. I say that. And I ate breakfast this morning because I was like,
and how'd you feel?
I still feel good. Like I didn't feel sluggish. I didn't feel like, I just went, I was like, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I was like, I'll take breakfast. You know, I don't know why, but I still felt good.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I know you've talked about like the benefits of intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And from my understanding, science has shown that it's a good thing for, correct me if I'm wrong, but cell regeneration? Maybe.
The growth hormone, and yes,
okay.
something, you know, I'm not a fucking expert.
No, this is great though.
Yeah, so
just
like,
dialoguing.
Yes. And so for everybody that this is just, even like I just put up the video, there's a lot of things that intermittent fasting definitely does help.
Yeah.
From
blood sugar levels, I think.
Yes.
Is one.
Hypertension was another one.
Okay.
The reason I bring that up is because I have like high blood pressure sometimes, and I don't even know what it was, but with that it was low. It was like it was 10 times better than what it was before.
That's great.
And but I never really focused on it. You know, whether it's just because I'm a young age or I'm active and whatever. The only thing was like when you get tested, don't drink coffee. And we're big coffee drinkers, and I'm just like, hey, I was like, I just had a coffee. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Guys. What do you want me to do? Like whatever.
Well,
But definitely big things that intermittent fasting did help me on. Discipline was a big one.
Okay.
Just like if it's not even just microorganism wise or just like biology wise.
Like routines.
It got you it got me to look at different things, but that's what broadened my understanding to look at. And I don't even know if it is part of keto, because keto, I think it's been blown up. What's the word I'm looking for? But yes, it's blown up.
Yeah.
But in a way where it's like, so I don't even know, like they have like Mexican or like all these different keto this and keto this, and I'm just like,
just cheese and sour cream.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, I don't know if this is actually the way, but I remembered it talked about omega-3s, talked about salmon, talked about all these essential good nutritional things that your body needs, either to boost testosterone, to low estrogen levels, to produce a lot more things that your body definitely needs, whether it is cell regeneration, like you're not, and that's the thing, you feel more sharper, you feel more
focused.
You're not foggy, you don't feel, and that's where the disciplinary kind of outskirt things definitely did help.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting is, I personally haven't done it very much. I think that, like, you were talking about, okay, keto, there's so many things that I take a big emotional approach on coaching as well. So, like, for me, the thoughts that come to mind when we talk about restrictive eating is that it can lead to disordered eating.
Yes.
If you're like,
definitely.
if you're like, for keto, I'm going to eat protein and fat. So I'm going to eat, like, let's just say chicken or something higher in protein maybe. So, like, I don't know, let's just say salmon, and then that, which is super protein, low fat, and then cheese and sour cream. Yeah, but you're not. Are you being conscientious of the quality of both of those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and this is why, like, I love
important.
talking to you, because this kind of like talks more deeply on, like, if these are the right tools you need, because like how I said, I didn't know a lot about the eating portion of it, like when I first started at all. No, I'm not saying, because avocados play a big factor. I was getting healthier fats.
Okay.
So in that sense, I think that routine, I just liked those foods that I was eating.
You're doing keto, or you?
See, I was implementing keto with fasting, because
okay.
So I hate even saying that I did keto, because I loved what fasting did for me at first.
Right.
So even if I did implement, or I was doing keto, it's like, I think I was just eating better.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the way I say it.
Yeah, then I think if you're eating better already, then you're already on a right track, because you're being conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Right.
So, like, we can get picky and, like,
say
we
that
can go
it's
both.
keto,
Right. But you're being conscious. And then going back to intermittent fasting, I did want to say, for men, it is different than for women.
I agree.
One of the biggest stressors on women's bodies and hormone system and the reproductive organ system is meal skipping, and that's huge. It's huge for men and women, but women especially, with, like, the social constructs and the beauty constructs, and so there is that emotional aspect of, it's so important to not meal skip as a woman.
Yeah.
And intermittent fasting may not be the same for women as it is for men, but again,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
That's why because I can only speak so much of, like, what I see and what works
for you.
Yes.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
Like, I don't know if it's like, because what I'm essentially, for a guy, is I think you have to lower estrogen and get more testosterone. I don't know if it's the exact same, if it's like higher estrogen, lower testosterone. Like, for women, I don't know. That's out of my expertise, but whenever someone does ask me for good eating habits or advice on, like, some other stuff, I would tend to say what I did, and not meaning if it's a man or a woman, but it's just like, well, these are proven to be good foods, so I think it could work.
Yeah.
Reversely, but you're not wrong, because there's definitely foods that are definitely worse for men, just because it does, like, promote more estrogen in the body that produces, like, different things for men than for women. And that's why I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah. It's interesting. So, coffee, for example, I know we both drink coffee.
We're avid coffee drinkers. We don't have Credo here or anything, but
yeah. And coffee, for example, let's go to coffee. It's one of the most highly pesticide filled crop in the world.
Agreed.
And so it's important, luckily Credo does do organic, it's important to get the quality coffee if you are going to drink the coffee. But so when I work with my clients, we do a full health appraisal based on how their body's responding and how they feel, and appearance or skin issues or anything like that. And when we scale it back and go, okay, if there's a hormone issue here, we go back again and see that, like, the adrenals are out of whack, and then we go back even further, there's stress on the body. Okay, that could be caused by a lifestyle, but also, like, are you drinking a lot of stimulants? Coffee affects women a lot. It's like one of the first things that my dialogue about with a client is, what does your coffee look like? What's the quality of your coffee? How often are you drinking it? And how's your hydration level
Exactly.
in comparison?
It's the same when you talk about it as like beer levels, because
Yeah.
The consumption levels for guys and men and women are different, and I think that could also be from this aspect also.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Yeah. So, and another thing is, again, for women, meal skipping, that's going to be much harder on the body. It's going to affect the adrenals, which will affect the hormone system. And that's huge for women.
Okay.
Make you feel totally off balance.
No. Yeah. Where was I going with this one? Because it does, when someone wants to get better, like I remember we touched on this a little bit, just on when you try to give advice to somebody, or like, essentially, is it different for you to approach a man and a woman, or is it universally the same?
I would say just it's more individual based.
Okay.
Yeah,
So and that's why I asked you, because I'm not even trying to. I'm trying to give people that are listening a little bit more of like a detailed like origin of that, because we can go so far as to say like, oh yeah, like both men and women are the same, but individually, maybe that takes the better approach. But
because let's just say I work with someone. There's going to be like the cultural influence, the maybe cultural gender influence. There's going to be emotional. How are they raised in their family setting? Did they feel comfortable expressing emotions? Can they express emotions? Do they struggle with anger? Where that all comes from, because anger stores itself in the body. Emotions show up physically in the body. That's why when we reverse and we do program designs and movement plans and workout fitness plans for ourselves, and working with clients, if we're doing certain movements that are activating dormant muscles or muscles that are storing emotion, that emotion is going to make itself present during that movement. And so I've had this experience myself and seen clients where they're doing a workout movement and it releases an emotion in a good way, in a healthy way, and that shows up as either crying or laughing. Have you ever been working out and you can't stop laughing, and then no one around you is laughing? It's like you're like laughing almost like in it almost feels like you're like in pain, like you can't, and you're like laughing or giggling. I don't know if you've ever done that.
I'm trying to
remember, go back, or seen anybody do that where they're like, there's a struggle and there's like a.
Well, maybe they're having a good time, but is that I don't know. Like maybe it's just because maybe they are helped by somebody else. Like like you are the teacher there with them.
Okay.
So maybe that had to do with it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't know. For me, maybe like if I think back, maybe. Maybe I've had those experiences.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it, but I definitely do feel good. Like, and I'm not saying like.
There's a connection with the mind and the body.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Like there's a lot of energy. You could say even like when people, the energy that your body produces, like all of that can be either gone from physical, you're having sex and that one's going good, or you take it out working out, you need to do something to alleviate all that energy.
Right.
Whatever that way is, it's a way to make you feel better. I'm trying to just kind of like,
we're not meant to be sedentary.
No,
is what you're saying.
Yes.
So like I don't know if I touched on this in the first podcast, but
I don't think you did.
I was really fascinated with this concept of hundreds of years ago, or our ancestors in general. They moved way more. There are some studies. They were nomads. There are some studies or articles and people claiming that they worked 3 hours at most every day. And so the rest they would spend, foraging, hanging out, resting, eating, raising kids together in a community setting. Yeah. And so if you think about that, we have that same brain chemistry and that makeup and that body, and we put it in a lifestyle where we're sitting most of the time.
Yeah, what does that say about our society right now? Like,
Yeah.
are we doing it all wrong? Like,
Well, I mean,
I think we are. That's what I'm saying, is that there's a lot more creative venture out there.
yeah, and there's a lot more illness and anxiety and depression. If you're not, you're right, like if you're not outside all the time, like the power of stepping on the grass barefoot, we talked about that last time, watching a sunset.
Off too, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
You know, being in water, those things connecting us with nature,
Yes.
that's our innate, like there's a natural connection to that, to people and to ourselves and to nature. So
Yeah, and I definitely think that our society is doing it wrong, because I'm just saying, like, our bodies aren't meant to stay seated
right
8 hours, 9, 10 hours of the day,
in front of a computer.
Freak, man. Like I envy those. I don't even know if I envy, but I couldn't do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I guess, like, even just sitting here, even on my laptop, like, you can only stay there for so long.
Yeah.
Even if I'm doing a creative thing, like editing a podcast or like editing a video,
you have to move.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I'm thinking, like, when I'm sitting in a coffee shop, that's exactly what's going through my mind, is like, dude, no, I need to move. Like my body's telling me to move, and I need to do it. And whether I'm doing my work, but maybe it's like that whole approach also with the desk being standing up.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that has to do with a lot of why they do it.
Because we have to, circumstantially, I just forgot the word, circumstantially, we may be in situations that may not be ideal, whether it's like, financially we're in a job that isn't supporting the wellness or health lifestyle that we ideally would like.
Right.
But there are ways that we can cultivate health and wellness within the lifestyle we have. And I think that that's consciousness, when we become conscious that something may not be working, or we're craving, we want to move more. And because a lot of people don't listen to that. They want to move more, but they can't. So they numb out by eating bad food or drinking, or, fill in the blank, watching a lot of TV.
Yeah.
But if you know that you want to move, and then you move, or you go outside before work, or you go for walks, runs, work out like that, that's making the choice to be conscious and connecting with yourself, and cultivating life and vitality within yourself.
Right. And it doesn't even have to, like, we're saying this in just the physical aspect, because you can have a very stressful job mentally, and just it could still do so much, like, I don't know, it could probably be even worse, just because from there it can cause, from the depression, from just the essential the way that numbness probably would be different than the numbness physically, or if it's in turn it can get physical. Like, I'm trying to think, like, those types of jobs, like, that need that much more brain power, and I feel like they have to be doing a little bit more to do that, because I was reading up, and the reason I'm saying this is because I was reading up on Steve Jobs. Okay, and I remember him talking about not him, but I guess it's a bio of him, of how he died. And do you know how he died?
I'm pretty sure it was young. Was it a pancreatic cancer or some sort of cancer?
Yes, but it was some sort of cancer, and I think, don't quote me, but it had to do with the diet that he was eating. And what I was reading up on was it was essentially nothing but fruits that he was eating. So a lot of sugar, naturally sugar, that he was putting in his body. Even though that fruits are considered healthier-ish, it's still a sense of, like, sugar. Like, essentially it's all broken down to sugar. But
was he a fruitarian?
I think that's what it.
Okay.
It's worth a Google.
Yeah.
But that one got me very intrigued, because there was parts of his system where I don't know if that's what, like, gave him that stimulus. Like, it is sugar, and it's a form of, I would think it's a stimulant.
Brain food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, it gave him all that creative thinking, and it got him to do all these amazing things. And he had one of the most powerful minds, that I thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me think. I was like there's people that have all that creativeness in there that they have to kind of like combat that either, or just know how to balance it out. I don't know if that was a way to balance it out, or if that was even the way that his diet was, or how he perceived it was right. But when I was reading up on that, I was like, oh man, like he has a very powerful mind. He had a very powerful mind. And I was just like, what did he do? Like, I wanted to know, like, and when I read up on his diet, I was like, whoa, that's insane.
Fascinating.
Yes.
He had to have been a fruitarian if he called it apple.
That's so funny. Yeah, but where I was going with that is, I'm just thinking like it can add a lot of stress, or like physically. What I meant was like it can get broken down to the point where it can cause failure to a certain part of the body. I don't know. No, I'm still gonna Google that just because.
I'm very fascinated.
Yes.
I mean, that it's all interconnected.
Agreed.
Nutrition is brain food, and people who are utilizing a lot of brain power, I can't imagine them filling themselves with processed or garbage food and feeling like they are sharp and present and able to accomplish kind of what they're looking for, what they're setting out to do.
It says,
all right, here's Google.
According to his official biography, Jobs learned from an early age that he could induce euphoria by choosing not to eat for long periods of time. He was a vegetarian for most of his life and became vegan at a certain point, but his meals were always small and simple whenever he ate.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
The other one right below it was Steve Jobs a fruitarian? And that's the one I was going to click on next.
So you're wondering if, his diet was either played a role in his situation, or he chased after it because it
did give him like that brain function, because there's essentially, you would have to create sacrifices, whether that's sleep or family. Mm-hmm. I just feel like when you don't balance out your that really well, and you're putting all of your effort or physical toll or mental toll on something, you're gonna lack in other aspects. I don't know, and that's when I was like, some Jobs also spent some time as a fruitarian, a subset of veganism that means eating on only fruits, nuts, seeds, vegetables, and grains. Absolutely no animal products, but exercise caution that without a careful eating plan, essential nutrients may be missing.
I wonder how long he did that for.
Yeah, this was back in November 2nd, 2011, but it was on Google, so I don't know.
I heard somebody recently talk about veganism and say that, because it can provide a lot of healthy benefits and, like we talked about, can heal a lot of things. Some people said I heard someone recently talk about how they view it as maybe more of a cleanse, where it was hugely beneficial to them until it was not. Yeah. And then when it was not, they responded by, eating meat again, or introducing eggs and salmon, or.
Yeah, I'm not even dissing on the fact of like veganism itself. Like when I say that, I say that with the most gratitude, as much as I can. Kind of say that, if you can do it, and you're doing it for the best cause, which is you don't want to kill the animals. Be a freaking vegan. Like,
and if it's giving you life and vitality,
yes, like if it's doing something positive in your life, then do it. What the only thing was when I think back, because I did do it, I like probably like a little portion of it was just what I was using, but I know, and I say this, I know for a fact that I had a negative sort of perspective on it, just because all of the other aspects of my life were not in sync with veganism. What I mean? Well, not in sync with vegan, just my whole life wasn't balanced out.
Gotcha.
And what I'm saying is
you just kind of walked into veganism.
Yes.
I see.
And whether it was like, and so with veganism, it just brought montages of extra weight on me that essentially was like I don't think this is for me. But this was before I even like hit intermittent fasting, before any of these like essential things.
Was it a high processed vegan diet you were consuming? Highly processed?
What is high processed?
So maybe what would be considered dead foods from boxes, or was it like live and organic, like you're getting the vegetables and the raw sprouted seeds, or what was it, like, vegan mac and cheese, or bread? And
so well, my girlfriend at the time, she was the one that did most of the she was the one that did all that stuff. Like, cool. I was intrigued by it just because I was like, oh, okay, this was very, very helpful, very, very. I feel like this is a good way to go. And I mean, that shit. Like, there was like even a restaurant. It was called like Spiral Diner, and people back in Texas. It was a really great place.
Yeah,
so good, like really good. I mean, it's a vegan, nothing but vegan food. I had like these vegan nachos that I thought they were the best nachos.
That sounds delicious.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, but I think it was like a mixture of both.
Okay.
But it was just like,
it wasn't working.
It wasn't working. Yeah. But I know like the discipline that I had to go work out and do all that stuff, like to get my body, my life, everything back in shape was not there. Was not there. So
maybe you try veganism for a period and it works for you in a different way.
Probably. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if I would try, I would just try to be for like a month, just to kind of like see how my body would react, especially because I'm working out more and more, like more and more. That it's just like I don't know how well it balances out. But then I did hear like athletes. There's like grass-fed athletes, like like they're just built on just being vegan, like built bodybuilders and stuff. So that is a thing, but I'm not saying maybe do I want to go through that route? Like, I don't know. That's always like a new perspective to look into.
For sure.
Not saying that I'm not. I would definitely try it now.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying that I want to try the carnivore diet just because that's what I'm saying. Like I think I think my mental state is a little bit more aware of like what I'm doing now.
Yeah, for sure.
And in turn, I think it's just like, okay, I think it definitely would help out anybody. So if it's like a trial error and you see a video on YouTube that says, this is Johnny's video doing veganism.
Yeah, veganism for a month or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always try it for 30 days and see how.
No. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good idea to try to do.
Or a week.
I was like, if I could do it I think I could do it for a week. And I was like, we'll see. But
I have heard, going back to Steve Jobs, I have heard people, well, one person in particular talked about he felt like his body was guiding him to give up meat for some time, and he did until he felt like it was important to reintroduce. And he said he experienced a lot of mental clarity. Yeah. And this is somebody who had been vegan, or who had been, I think it was either vegetarian or vegan when he was younger, and became extremely anemic. So, and then got super into health and wellness. And so, but then when he was older, like in his 60s, he tried vegetarianism for a year. And so, that's why it's so important to connect with and listen to your body. Right. If your body is guiding you that way, again, like I say, it's huge that we're even in tune with and listening. And when people, the only thing I get weary of is when people get stuck in a cycle of crash dieting, because that's
what do you mean, like hitting plateaus?
No, just constantly trying new diets, or just
talking about me right now.
No, it's different, being conscious and wanting to eat and find what works for you and intuitively listen to your body's cues is different than just going, you know what, I need to lose weight and I'm just going to go keto hard, you know.
Well, maybe those are the quick fix people.
Exactly, those are the quick fixes. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Kind of not say it, but saying it like you quick fix people, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because that's the thing about health and wellness, is it isn't a quick fix, and people, ideally will, it's a, everything's a journey, like we talked about last time, and
it's a journey.
And find kind of what works for them. But the important thing is not letting other people tell them what works for them. It's important for them to listen to themselves. And that's ideally what I want to do with clients. And what I do with clients is...
Unless you know what you're talking about, because you do.
Yeah.
Saying.
Yeah. And it's just helping them connect with themselves, because our body has the power to heal itself, and we have the power to, and capability and everything we need within us to look inward right now and know how to nourish ourselves. So it's just guiding people towards that.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. Like, is it bad? Like, I don't think it's... Yeah, I'm about to hit another controversial.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Right? I don't think it's bad to pre-select.
Pre-select.
Like, I'm using this as an example as like, somebody asks you for advice.
Okay.
You can already tell, I think, by their physical appearance or by just their the way that they make decisions.
Right.
How well driven they are.
Okay.
I think for me, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like across the board.
Intuitively.
And sometimes it just kind of like, I think that's what kind of like keeps me aware. I'm just saying aware. But definitely I'm like, you want to gravitate towards people that would end up having a more positive effect.
Yeah.
Like on your life, no matter what it is. It's just, there's a sense of attraction to that.
Yeah.
So when I say it like that, I'm just like, you know what? These people, they're driven, their mental state is there. I was like, I want to get with them, like if they know what they're doing. When somebody does ask for help or don't ask for help, and I'm just kind of like looking at them, I'm like, what is it about, like, what is it that you think that this can provide you that something else in your that you already have, or that you're not doing?
Yeah.
You know. So either way, you're still giving advice, but it's not the advice that they're looking for.
Right.
So now they're because I think they're also pre-selecting on the type of advice they're asking for.
Yeah.
Because I think from that point, they're just wanting to hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just probably a bad thing to do, but I'm just like, I'm like, no, you're going to have to like probably sleep, go work out a little bit more. Probably you're going to have to stop eating these certain foods. Like, you know.
The body can't be in dysfunction and healing at the same time. So if somebody, you know, has, you know, a chronic issue or, but they, you know, they say that they, you know, they work out but it's like not lining up. You can't be going two different directions at the same time.
Right.
You're either going into a direction of dysfunction or into a direction of healing and life and vitality and nourishment.
Okay.
If that makes sense. That's my understanding of it.
Okay. Yes.
So if people are maybe like, you're just saying if people are probing and asking maybe health and wellness questions or...
Well, I still think they're the quick fixer people.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do you fix that? How do you fix that mentality? Is what the essential end goal is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Is like, because when somebody asks you for help, it's like, yeah, dude, I can try to, but are you going to actually like implement it? Or is your mental strength there?
Yeah.
Because it's more on that than it is a quick fix of not doing or doing something.
Yeah.
You know,
people who fall into the pattern of quick fixing, I think it can go deeper to you're saying like, well, how can you change those habits? There are a lot of times there are emotional inhibitors.
What do you mean?
Things like we self-sabotage. How and why? Maybe we avoid emotions. And when we do, we take on unhealthy habits. So when you start to address the healthy lifestyle, that's why holistically it's all interconnected, because then the emotional inhibitors are going to come up. Do you struggle with believing yourself? Why? Did someone tell you? Who told you that? And how long have you believed that for? And how can we flip the coin on that? So, and a lot of times it's just verbalizing, saying out loud, writing in your journal.
Affirmating.
Affirmations are clutch. And so And another thing with affirmations is when we speak, when our body says something, our soul listens. So in the same way that you say that,
So you're saying the people that talk to themselves are actually pretty smart? Because
they're living it up.
I think so. Yes.
Well, if you're saying like I don't like my job, as soon as you verbalize that, your soul's gonna hear you and hold you accountable.
Yes, it's like
you're gonna start to die inside.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, I fucking hate this
Yeah.
job. Like, what the heck?
For sure. So emotional inhibitors, I mean, those things come up, and there are ways that we can. That goes along with the six foundational principles I was telling you about thinking.
Right.
How do we think, and how do we think about ourselves, and how do we think about the people around us? How do we cultivate love and life and gratitude, and feeling fulfilled? And it's that same thing. If people are cultivating that, they're gonna go towards that direction and cultivate the people in, like you're saying, like that are like-minded in that way. And if people are going in the way of dysfunction and just constantly speaking negative or complaining about their life and not really doing anything about it, they're going to continue to go in that direction and cultivate those people around them. So
well, it's about comfort from there, because and then now, like there's so many things that people just don't want to look into. And I think we touched on a little bit on this. It goes just like just the motivation of like people, of like how much inspiration do you think people need to get themselves out of these sort of situations, or if they're like in the back of a corner, what can they do to get out of it and stuff. But and that's what I'm saying. I think even like then there's those types of people that are in the back of the corner are listening to this and saying like, I'm listening to this and I want this information. I want this I want this mental clarity that you guys have that like are talking about. And then there's the people that are just looking for that straight up answer. And, it's hard to kind of deliver. Fix. Yes. And hard to deliver both without looking at yourself critically and giving yourself that essential answer you're looking for. Because my answer is not going to be your answer. Your answer is not going to be their answer. But if we can try to help each other out in some sort of way, you can definitely find a middle ground. Right. And that's, and it's even hard because like, those quick, like, ad videos, those are a great way to get your attention to kind of like click on it, the clickbaiters. But from there it's like it's all a mindset, I think, from there. So having the, like, for you anyway, when you do come across somebody that is just looking for the quick fix, I don't even know if you've had maybe a client that has gone through that with you, like how would you combat it? Like, would you kind of like let it go from that point? Like whenever you feel like it's all hope's lost? Because it's sometimes it's like the negotiation there to say like, you know what, can I help you? Can I even help you? Right. It's
definitely a question.
Well, for a teacher, that's why I'm asking you. Like I would consider myself in some sort of way, like once I get to that point of influencing other people, it's like, how much can I actually help you? Right. Oh, for sure. And there are times where it may not be the best fit, or people may not be ready. So the reality is, if somebody's ready to change, they're going to change. Change takes the most amount of energy in ourselves. Going through a stressful day is easier than making change in your life. Right. But when you're ready, when you're experiencing, pain is the greatest teacher. When pain comes, your teacher has arrived. It's a good motivation. Yes, it is.
And there are reasons why the pain teacher comes to us, right? And that's why it's important to change whatever got us into that circumstance. But like I said, you all of a sudden feel pain in your wrist. That's the cherry on top to a whole bunch more dysfunction that was already happening. If I have a wrist injury, and I didn't do any type of movement to directly injure it, and I'm just like feeling sore in my wrist, maybe I don't have enough, like, there's not enough blood going to that hand, or because I'm not moving enough, I'm not working out in ways that would benefit me, or poor nutrition, poor lifestyle in general, eating, sleeping, drinking, and that's just kind of the cherry on top. So how to heal that? Okay, that's going to take time. I can't quick fix.
I'm sorry, like like that's going to take a little bit of time,
right? Like, and I may take something to help alleviate the pain immediately, because I understand that pain is clouding, is debilitating. But then what am I doing to kind of go back on the dysfunction and tackle that. And
Right.
so yeah, but regarding like clients and people who are into quick fixes, I mean, that to me is 100% emotional. Do they believe in themselves? Do they believe that they're capable of a healthy lifestyle? Why do they want to lose weight and lose weight now? Let's talk about how they feel about their self-esteem and their security and sense of who they are. Do they love themselves?
Would those be first, like, would those things be like the first things you have to do when you help out a client?
I think honestly, it's.
Or is that still individual? Like,
I think
maybe
it's individual.
Because maybe someone is ready and they're kind of like, I've accepted, yes, go boom, 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 and they're not in denial. Is what I'm saying. Like, so
if you tell somebody, hey, your sleep, and the way that you don't prioritize sleep, you're getting 4 to 6 hours of broken sleep a night, is hurting you pretty bad. And if you're coming to me because you want to change your life, or you want to experience health and wellness and vitality, you want to experience life, are you willing to work on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's like a change like that, then they go to their sleep, and they come back and they're it's something that they're not changing, then it's something that we like readdress. And if not, why? Why don't you want to work on sleep? Or and that's huge on the nutrition food side. Like what are you struggling with emotionally, that you're either coping with by eating, or you don't know how to sit with your emotional pain or hardship, or you don't know how to cope with it in a healthy way. Instead, you eat, you drink, you smoke a ton of weed, whatever it is that you watch a lot of TV that you're misusing. I mean, it all kind of like interconnects. But yeah, I think you can kind of, once you start to pull that like rope of wellness or of health, and people like start working out, then other things come up. And if people are wanting to go towards healing or health and life, I think that they'll walk through that, or I know that they'll walk through that. I'm sure you can attest to that, times in your life when you were ready to work out. It wasn't easy. It's it's hard. It takes determination, and it takes change and lifestyle. But when you did that and when you were ready, you walked through that. You did it.
It's like
it's you have everything you need within you in this very moment.
It's very inspirational. Like, and even like, because the next question I'm going to ask is just more of like a counseling one, because you sound like you're definitely helping these people far beyond like the essential 1, 2, 3 ABCD type of like treatment. Maybe for some people that's the way they interpret it, but I mean, emotionally, you're saying that being there for somebody, that could be a factor of like just listening, or just being very empathetic, of like not even being sympathetic because you're still helping them out, but just kind of like, hey, I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Do you feel like you're doing that? Like, because I definitely, just by the way that you're sounding, it's just like you're definitely like diving a lot more into the like a counselor kind of like or a therapist, kind of like they're coming to you emotionally more than anything. Or maybe it's just because of the question I asked you. But I think you've had like people that have needed more of that than ever, or like need more of something first than that.
Well, thank you for saying that.
No, yeah.
I actually have a background in social work, human services, working with people, motion coaching, that kind of thing. So I worked in the field for 5 years, and it's definitely one of my passions in relating to people.
Right.
When working with clients, I think it would be naive of me to acknowledge that we can design programs and work on nutrition and not talk about facing our emotions or our hardships, or the way we feel about ourselves, self-love, self-care. But with that being said, I'm also absolutely I definitely think it's important to refer out of my scope of practice if somebody does need, or I feel like they would benefit from counseling and therapy, because that is out of my scope of practice. But when it comes to health coaching, 100%, it's cultivating a life of movement and happiness and healthy nutrition, and whether or not we're able to be with ourselves.
Right.
So many people don't know how to be with themselves. Why?
What do you mean
Let's
by
dig
that? Do you
that
mean
up.
like alone? Like
Yeah.
okay, that's what you meant.
100%.
I've said that, and I say it like because I've heard it, and I think it made me. I think it. No one told me that, but when I heard it, and I heard it, I think it was just by listening to like another podcast. I think, but it's just like, dude, people can't fathom the idea of being alone, or they can't handle it. Like they can't look in the mirror and love themselves. Whatever the flaw may be, that's why they take it out on other people. They do whatever it is. Maybe it's just the people that they tend to attract to themselves is why they also look at themselves as, maybe I'm more accepting of who I am just because I think I'm better than these other people. I don't know what it is, but you're not wrong. I think that there's so many people that can't fathom the idea of not having another person there. And I'm not saying that to be like a clinger or like someone that hates like people or anything like. I'm just saying like they constantly are afraid to be alone just because now they're gonna have to look at themselves very critically,
Absolutely.
and kind of just freak. Do I even like this? No, I can't handle it. Hey, what are you doing? Are you doing something right now? Like, what's going on? Like, hey, let's hang out. Like,
you explained that very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you're sitting alone with yourself in quiet, like that's why people meditate or go on silent retreats. You're faced with, how do you feel about yourself? Just with everything stripped back. Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself? And that's key. And I think, going back to what you're saying, asking, I think that's key with change. If we feel like we are lovable and capable, then we can move forward and change what isn't working for us anymore. But yeah, when people are alone with themselves, they either numb out or get comfortable with themselves. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. See, and I'm even asking you this because I feel like, what do you think is the next step for that, for people that can't do that? Because I mean, that would you reflect back and kind of like when you're observing somebody and they kind of like, you've had a conclusion about somebody, it's like, do you even love yourself? Or is that are those just the essential questions you ask to give yourself that conclusion that like you can't handle yourself by yourself?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ask that pointed or directed, but as it shows up in the body and movement and posture, all those things display, like the body keeps score about all those things. I would definitely be inquisitive, with a sense of, at the very least, a sense of security, as it comes up, or as, if it becomes a roadblock in someone's health journey. So, those are things that I am like thinking about and wanting to be aware about, just with, the background and the passion that I have with relating to people like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question there.
Well, that's probably the best way to do it. It's just like, because now, like, maybe that's just out of our expertise, because like even then, I don't remember how I could say I loved myself a lot more, or like, I can look at myself and say I love myself, or like, whether it's physically or mentally.
Was there a time when you can relate to and maybe not?
Oh, well, maybe I look at it from the physical standpoint and then say, yeah, I love myself more now more than, but there's always, I always feel like I need that improvement. Like I'm not saying like, yes, I've hit that. Boom. Never. I don't think I'm ever going to, I hopefully never reach that, because there's always going to be something, something, or something that keeps driving you to get better. And, maybe you want to work on this, your posture, this, or whatever it is. But I think that's a healthy mindset from that point. But when I look at myself and say, do you love yourself? I think it's a sense of acceptance. And I mean that as, I accept my flaws. Like now more than ever, as in, like in the past, or like from whatever social things revolved around me, whatever it was. I kind of like laugh at him now and just kind of say like, what the heck why was I even worried about this before? Yeah. And I think that's a sense of confidence, but I think that's just the after effect after you you love yourself more. It's just, you feel better. You look better. You tend to gravitate towards people that are better.
Yeah, it gets the ball rolling.
Yes.
And
like, I
just,
think it keeps cultivating from that point. You know, I don't even know. Can you go back and say, like, was there a point where you knew, like, maybe was it physical? Was it just mental that you hated yourself?
Yeah.
Or that you couldn't fathom yourself of being alone? Or
I definitely can look back and see there was a point in which I didn't feel the confidence or security or self-love that I do today.
Right.
And there were a lot between now and then. There were a lot of lifestyle habits and thinking patterns that had to change for me.
Okay.
And like you were saying, the ball gets rolling.
Keeps rolling.
Yeah. If I'm working with a client and, you know, we talk about like his or her metabolic typing, what would work best for them, and they feel like comfortable with the knowledge that I've shared with them, how they might benefit eating, clean up their diet. They come back and they keep expressing that they binge eat, or that, you know, like whatever it is, a whole thing of Oreos, pints of ice cream. What we can talk about why, what emotion is coming up for them, and or what is it when, especially when we reach for carbon sugars or like processed, like junk food. It's easy to do. No,
I mean, we talk about health, but we fall victim to that.
Oh, 100%. 80-20. If you give your body what it needs 80% of the time, it can handle the 20 that you go out, that you drink, that
okay, keep going. I'll talk, because I was already fresh on my mind. Keep going. I'll
it just you know, when we're putting something up to our mouth like that, almost always when we consciously think about when we're doing that, we can identify that there's emotion that we're avoiding.
I'm trying to
there's
associate
something. There's something when you're reaching for that, like that junk food, or people who eat emotionally, maybe I should say. So if I'm working with a client and they keep struggling with binge eating, let's talk about what it is. A lot of times it's, I don't feel like I deserve to be better. Why don't you feel like you deserve to be? It relates to the self-love and knowing that you are valued and that you deserve healthiness, you deserve feeling alive and feeling present and feeling vitality, or it can be like that self-sabotage can be pulling up another emotion, and and I think it's important to like relate those two and identify, and when we do that and we become present with our emotions, we're able to be conscious of our choices.
Wow. Okay. It's not the process there, but no.
Do you remember the thought you had?
I did. Okay. I did. You said the 80-20. And I was bringing it a little. We'll go. I mean, we already covered a lot of the diets, but it was carb cycling. You ever heard of that?
Is that what relating to keto?
No.
When you incorporate carbs, carb loading, that might be.
Carb loading, maybe.
All right. Let me know. Educate me.
Okay, so carb cycling was, it's kind of like what it sounds like.
Okay.
You're essentially adding carbs back into your diet by cycling it out through maybe like that Wednesday or Saturday. Those are the days. Boom, I'm gonna have a pizza, burger, whatever it is that helps you keep going through the same diet, or not the same restrictions that you're going towards. I think it's just a way to kind of like implement other food patterns, so that way you still keep yourself stable.
You're saying like a cheat day? Like if you're eating clean 6 days a week, just go ham on the 7th? Is that similar?
Possibly, because I don't even know. Because I'm just saying it because I heard carb cycling, because I didn't when I was implementing keto, I guess. I wasn't eating bread. I think because bread was one of the big, like, the fat motivators of, like, bloating up. So I cut that out. I think that was one of the harder ones to cut out, but it was a slow process. And I think towards the third, like, last part of second month, third month, I was already done with it. And then I was missing it. I was like, give me that pizza. Like, I want this. Like, and so I heard about carb cycling, and I was just like, And I think even just like when I was hearing other people talk about it, don't quote me on this, but it was just like, they're like, you can go have a good intermittent fasting phase and then still go out, have fun on the weekends. And from Monday through Friday, go like how you were steady for Friday, Saturday, have like a good carb, and it won't be as effective, or it won't affect you as much. And when you said 80-20, that's how I'm like kind of picturing it, is like your body can handle that 20%.
Yeah, when you're treating it how it needs.
How it needs, right? For the most part of yes. So that's what was on my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The funny thing is that the healthier you eat, the more you feel alcohol, the more you feel crappy food.
Dude, okay, so being a Mexican, like, there's a big pride thing where it says, "Can you handle your?"
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I could. At a certain point in my life when I was fat and I hated myself, but now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like I'll drink whenever I'm like wanting to, but I love that I feel it. Right then, it's like a kind of an instant. I say it. I guess I have more fun as a lightweight than ever. Is what I'm trying.
It, but then you also feel the hangovers if you're healthy.
I mean, with beer, it's still drink. I like. Yeah, there's definitely flaws with drinking, and like I'm not saying that. Just saying, just be careful and be safe.
Be safe, kids.
And if you make sure you're over 21. But what I'm saying is that there's like there's downfalls with that, and also I don't think it's unhealthy for somebody to kind of like have a good night out. And I'm just saying, like, because I mean, it's still part of my not daily routine, but like a routine that I have, and I still love it, and I'm okay with having like occasionally like at the most 4 to 5 beers maybe, and that's just even as a stretch. But I love just having a good time. Yeah. Essentially, not even saying it like that, but I do feel it. Feel it a little bit more. Even like coffee. I feel that a little bit more.
You feel a little more sensitive to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just and teas and all those other things. It's just like I love that, especially because the more I started getting into coffee, the more I started understanding like, oh my God, there's different strands. There's different this. There's different like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I could taste it. I never could taste black coffee.
And see, that brings joy. So it's a part of health. Yeah. It's all in balance, right? Exactly. So only you can dictate that and determine that for yourself. Yeah.
Ultimately, yes. I think that should be ultimately everybody's kind of end goal, is to kind of know how to balance out everything or anything that life throws at you. Yeah. But I don't know. I can't possibly like tell people, hey, regiment this, bam, bam, bam. Just
eat this way, do it like that. Yeah.
That's always like a learning curve, but it's fine. Jade, this was an awesome podcast.
Yeah, it's been great chatting.
Yes, it's been. I think a lot of people, especially, love a lot of your input, especially from the last one. The last one was actually very, very intuitive, and I think this one was too. And I think I say that because we're looking at things highly differently than just logically. Yeah. I think that's always a good thing. It's just not always look at things very logical or not very emotional. Just kind of like have a good sense of balance, because one, music makes you feel good for this reason, and then like, you know, you feel good for this reason, or like, you know, there's a lot of reasons. But that's what I wanted to get at, is I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate this, and especially because I believe in a lot of things you're doing, and the way I see it actually helping other people, even just like the way that, you know, we talk about it. It's just definitely helps out a lot of people that way. Yeah. Is there any last things that you would love to cover? And I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover.
I would honestly agree. Yeah. I think I already said it. Everyone, you have everything you need within you right now to cultivate a life of healthiness. Right. So, the goal would be to empower everyone to feel like they can, because they can. Shoot. Okay. That's one way to end it. Especially just starting this new year. I think everybody needs to kind of like look at this and say, oh my God, there's a different way to do this. What's going on? Yeah. What's this nonsense? Let me click on it, hopefully. But
Jade, thank you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
really do appreciate you coming on. It's always a blast, especially when you come like with all this knowledge, and it's like so, and it's so awesome to know that there's like other people that have all these different like experiences and expertise on it. And just want to say that's thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, it's been what, like 7-8 months since you were last on. But
that's right. Long time.
Damn, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna end it right here, guys, because now I think that we've covered a lot of things. But Jade, where can the people find you?
You can find me on my Instagram. It's at jade.holistic. And then we can link the website below.
And yes, she has a website coming up, folks. And I will put a link to that website in the description down below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this amazing podcast. And it's going to be an amazing podcast for yet to come. There's a lot more. She's going to be invited back on, guys. There's a lot of things that we love to talk about. And thank you for tuning in to Johnny Reviews. Love a like. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I'll see you later.
Nice.
I know, it's not stopping though. Hold on. Air 5. There it is.
Cool.